Her smile shines as bright as the stars at night. Her heart is as kind as can be. She has the patience of a saint, but if you push her, oh Lordy. A straight talker is Smiley. She's the salt of the earth. Make no mistake, she matters. Catch Smiley's story on a live stream. Oh boy, that girl can matter. Go Smiley. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. Make no mistake why she's here. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. If you're guilty, she'll smell out your fear. Missing posters and stories of heartache and fear. She tells us all of the heartbreaking tears. She can sniff out the guilty from a mile away. If Smiley's on the case, then she's here to stay. She cares about these missing children. She cares deeply about them all. She speaks the truth with integrity. For the truth, she will seek it all. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. Make no mistake why she's here. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. If you're guilty, she'll smell out your fear. Smiley's questions are like a heat-seeking missile. She's going straight for the bullseye. Don't ever believe you can fool her. She's too wise, man, she won't comply. She values freedom like the 4th of July. She values respect even more. If you want to earn a place at Smiley's table, watch the clock, it takes time for sure. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. Make no mistake why she's here. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. If you're guilty, she'll smell out your fear. If you break her trust, you're done for. Trust don't grow back like grass. So don't give Smiley a reason to doubt you, or that friendship will shatter like glass. She's a damn good woman, that much we know. She puts in the hours to bring them kids home. If your child is missing, you want Smiley on the case. She is always willing and she gives so much grace. She's a Smiley, alright. She's a Smiley. Make no mistake why she's here. She's Smiley, alright. She's Smiley. If you're guilty, she'll smell out your fear. If you're guilty, you better feel fear.
She was born and bred in Nashville, but she walks the beaches down in Florida sand. A mother and wife, a daughter, a sister, trying hard to do the best she can. She found her voice with a heavy heart, looking for purpose with trembling hands. And giving this all a new start, moving ahead, speaking for ones who came. She says, I am who I am, I'll stand my ground. Even when the nights get long and rough, you'll hear my sound. She'll be speaking for the ones unheard, 'cause she's got a caring heart that won't be turned. Her mama fought cancer while she was searching, stories that needed a gentle voice. saw summer's name and felt the heart weak and tried to bring light where there was no choice. And when she heard us the best in a sadness rose, she prays for truth through the noise. She'll follow wherever the story goes, seeking their dignity, a child's joy. She says, I am who I am, I'll stand my ground. Even when the nights get long and rough, you'll hear my sound. She'll be speaking for the ones unheard, 'cause she's got a caring heart that won't be turned. She said, I am who I am, I stand my ground. Even when the nights get long and rough, you'll hear my sound. She'll be speaking for the ones unheard. She's got a caring heart that won't be turned.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for being here. Where the wind blows. Hello, good to see you. Small town girl 50. Hello, hello. Hello, honey. Hello, how are you doing? Hello, hello, hello. Tina Davis, hello, good to see you. BJ, hello, nice to see you. Abigail, good to see you. Glad you're here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hey, Jude. Hello, girl. Hello, hello, hello. Leslie, hello, keeping it real for us all. Hello, welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Anybody in the bushes? I'm still going down my little list here. Everybody. Hey, your icon. Yeah, I see your icon. I love it. Where the wind blows. In the Christmas spirit. All in the Christmas spirit. There you go. There you go. So welcome in, everybody. Yesterday was kind of a big day of sadness and news and everything, wasn't it, honey? Lots of stuff going on. We're going to talk about it today. I wanted to come back on her last night. I didn't feel like it. I took my medicine and went to bed. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, so I hope everybody's doing good. I just had me a bite of cream potatoes and some green peas, honey. Oh, thank you, Annabella. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Thank you for the super sticker. Whoop, whoop. Thank you. I appreciate you. Let's give our little cha-ching going here. Let's see if I can find it. There you go, girl. Thank you, honey. Thank you. Tropicana, hello, welcome, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Whatever it is, wherever it's at, wherever you are, you know what I mean. I love you all. I love you all. I thank you for being here. Oh, thank you for all you do. Thank you so much for modding and helping and everything. I appreciate you just being here. I appreciate you all, every one of you. Whether you know it or you don't know it, I do appreciate you very, very much so. We are here on this December 16th, 2025 on Tuesday. Have y'all got anything? Yeah, laugh out loud afternoon. Honey, it's like my kid. Y'all know what time it is. You know what day it is. Whatever it is, you know. I hope you know. Sometimes I don't know, but it's okay. We'll get through it. But yeah, I hope y'all are doing well, and I hope y'all have got most of your Christmas shopping done anyway, and most of the things done. We're all blessed. I know that. And I know I'm just blessed to be here and have you all here. And thankful I can see you in my chat another time. Absolutely. Absolutely. So hello, everybody. Come on in. Get your coffee. Get your sweet tea. Get your blankets. Your hot cocoa. Whatever you want. And let's just talk about this a minute. Well, it's going to be more than a minute. I promise. It's going to be a little bit today. Okay. Yeah. Go get Miss Nancy, honey. Go get Miss Nancy. Oh, and I'm thankful for y'all. I really am. But y'all hit them thumbs up. And if you hear stuff rattling in the kitchen, it's hubby. I got him cooking meat. Or I always say cooking. It don't sound right with this. But I got him making some no-bake cookies. I'm playing this surgery to the end, honey. I am sucking it all up. He's got to wait on me hand and foot, okay? So he's fixing me them cookies, honey. Just saying. Just saying. Oh, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. But today's December 16th, 2025, and it's on Tuesday. Hey, why not? Why not? Right? I am getting some rest. I will tell y'all that. I am able to do my lives in the morning and get my rest. So it might be a good thing. Yeah, I love those no bakes. Hey, Jude. Oh, my God, I love them. I love them. That's the problem. I love them too much. I love them too much. Too much, honey. So it's so sad that we heard that Rob Reiner and his wife was unalived. And to hear that yesterday was shocking. I'll just get into it. A lot of news is still coming out on this. A lot. So I'm going to try to be as updated as possible. But it is sad what happened. A lot of people, you know, they remember Rob as Meathead, right? He was just Meathead. He was Meathead and All the Family. I watched that as a little girl. And he was sarcastic, but he was funny. He went on to play other roles. Rob worked as a producer. He was very talented. He went from 1947 to 2025. He had several projects going. He still did. He never got past production on some of those. He had so many projects going at once, you know. But he was a worker. He was a hard worker. And he was a go-getter. Man, I like those kind of people. You know, you can't be lazy and get through life. You just can't. But you could always see he was a good guy. I could see that when I was even a kid. So he produced books, movies, films. He produced comedies. He did comedies. He traveled. He wrote. He did all those things. We're going to get into him today rather than it's just he died. He was dead. Somebody took his life. I want to get into these things. And his wife too. But I think people will always remember him as All in the Family's Meathead. And that's, you know, that's where he got his real go at, honestly. And if you don't know, that was a sitcom back in the 70s. It come on, well, as I remember it come on every day. I don't know, I might be wrong. I was real young, but we watched it in our household. And it was called All in the Family. He got 2 Emmy Awards for that. That's a big deal. His character played a good guy. He was a blue-collar worker. He was a college student in that. He was very well-mannered, and he had married, it makes me laugh to this day, he married Gloria Bunker, which was Archie Bunker's daughter, which that didn't fly over too well with Archie. Archie was something else, played by Carol O'Connor. But that was always fun to watch, him and Archie going back and forth and sparring. More so Archie than him, I think. Archie was his father-in-law, and Archie gave him the nickname Meathead. He gave him the nickname Meathead as an insult. Well, little did they know that was going to stick with him on and off camera for a long time. A long time. Archie was a liberal. Archie was a liberal with strong viewpoints, and always had some bigotry. Hold on just a minute, y'all. All right, sorry about that, y'all. So Archie was a liberal, and he had a lot of viewpoints. He was the bigotry man, right? You know, a lot of people didn't like him. But Meathead, him and Meathead was always trying to get his approval, I'll say. He always was. Him and Meathead didn't view things the same way. They never did. They always clashed. They never was viewing things the same way. You watched it Saturdays for years? Yeah. It was just something big in that time frame. So playing the role Meathead is what shaped him. And it made him this household name. Even in his other major roles that he did, that always kind of stuck with him. He went on directing major films like When Harry Met Sally. I mean, believe that or not, he did. He went on to do that. Karate Kid, I believe. There was many movies and films that he did. Now, Carol O'Connor had a lot of trust and respect in him on and off screen. He trusted Rob a lot. And the feeling was mutual. But Carol one time said, because of how much trust that he had in Rob, that and vice versa, that there was this one scene on there that was very emotional. It was a very emotional scene on All in the Family, where Archie and him and another guy, they got a bottle of whiskey or whatever they was drinking. They got to talking. But anyway, I don't know if you'll remember that episode or can go find it, but whatever. Archie finally felt comfortable enough, and he told why he was so prejudiced and why he thought the way he thought about people being different from him. And it was all because he said he felt comfortable with Rob. And he really played that part, you know. He admitted he learned it from his father on the scene. He admitted he learned it from his father. But Archie also explained he loved his father. And despite the use of physical punishment that he got from his father, including he said his father had locked him up in a closet one time for hours, up on time after time to teach him to do good. Now, we wouldn't think that's doing good, but anyway, that's what was told. And he also told him about his family. He was talking to Meathead, told him about his family being so poor that during the Great Depression, they were so poor that he had to wear one shoe to school. Well, it was one boot, and kids made fun of him. And that's how he got the name Shoe Booty. Shoe Booty. Anyway, that was very emotional, and it was a very emotional scene. It was a very emotional thing, especially back then for Carol to talk about as well. And Rob as well, and they had to do this. But he was able to do so. And he said, again, it was all thanks to Rob and the trust that he had in him. You can see on my screen, he looks like he turned out to be a normal, looks like guy. I don't know what else is going to come of this, but I'm going to give you some insight on it. Rob was not only an actor and director, he was a producer, and he was into political things a lot. He was an advocate for political parties. I take it from what I heard this morning, not so much Trump, but I'm just saying, I'm not going to hold that against nobody. I'm just saying. I was reading something on it this morning, and I don't think Trump had good things to say, which was really not right during this, but I don't know what all was said, so we won't even go there. I'm just trying to give y'all a little insight. I'm not trying to make anything political, but I just want to let you know that Rob was born March 6, 1947, and he was born in New York City. His parents was already legendary. They was a legend in themselves. His father, Carl was a comedian. His mom was an actress. His mom was Estelle. She was an actress. And his role from 1971 to 1971 as Meathead, All in the Family, not only made him famous, it helped mold him into the person that he became. He said that himself. He went on to get many Emmy Awards for his acting and producing. And for his producing and stuff, he got a Golden Globe Award and so on. And that's a lot. Hello, Andrea. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. Hello, hello, hello. Rob was one of those guys, he held the media accountable. I think he held everybody accountable. I understand him. I do. But he held the media accountable, and he spoke out. He spoke out even when it wasn't popular. His real life upbringing, his childhood, it explains a lot of that about who he was and who he become. He was born into, really, if you think about it, comedy royalty, if you will. But he was never, ever a spoiled child. Some people can be spoiled. They can be born into it and be spoiled. He was never spoiled. He could really care less about that. Despite everything, Rob didn't grow up wealthy and pampered. Believe that or not, he didn't. His father, Carl, he would write and he would hustle. A lot of people don't know a lot about hustling, but his father would hustle and not live too large. They never forgot where they came from, honestly. That's the kind of people I like. Thank you, Janice. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Member for 16 months at the Smiley Squad. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Love you, Janice. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. But, some people forget where they come from. He didn't. His family didn't. Rob said his parents always at the dinner table was all about talking. They were not about status, but they were about talking to each other. They wasn't about the status and the money and all that stuff. They wanted to have dinner. They wanted to have time with their family and that kind of thing. Rob grew up, where his home humor had a purpose, we'll say. And words mattered. All the words mattered, especially when he was growing up. Rob said he was not his father, and he always tried to, though, be himself, and he wanted people to look at him for himself and his own accomplishments. But he struggled with that. He struggled with confidence, and many times he felt shadowed by his father. He said his dad was a genius. I guess that would be a hard thing to live up to. He was more emotional than polished, honestly. But that tension of wanting approval while trying to push back, it shaped him and it shaped his personality. And he said his dad, was not a soft person. His dad was never soft, and he tried to separate, but it was hard for him. But they had very clear views on work ethics and strong moral lines that they would not cross. They had strong moral lines between right and wrong. His dad, if you will, lived by, if you're going to speak, then say something meaningful. That always stuck with him. That also showed up in his work. We might have not have saw it then, but you can see it now for sure. Rob went to school in New York. Then he later, after they moved to California, went to Beverly Hills High School. And that's when the family moved there. He was a teenager. Rob said he was very opinionated. And he was very expressive on politics and on points he tried to make. He challenged authority. So good, bad, indifferent, I don't know, but he challenged authority. He didn't just blend in. He wasn't trying to just be a follower. He wasn't trying to blend in. At least he wasn't quietly. But he was not a class clown either. He took everything very seriously. He was just argumentative. We know something like that. He was the kid. He was the kid who questioned everything and all the systems, all the motives, how things worked. That made him smart. That made him who he was. There's nothing wrong with that. That also followed him in his life, and that helped him. He was just trying to find his own way. That's the way I see it. He was trying to find his own way and his purpose. Now, he stopped acting and he worked more as a producer and writing and he took that, more serious. And they say when he got on All the Family, because he understood they say that he got famous on there, and he got on there because he understood the psychology of the character. I did want to point that out. But Meathead, I'm going to call him Meathead. Meathead, he mirrored Rob's real life. He really did. He had a habit of pushing back, pushing against, pushing against older authority. Even his own father's generation, right? Rob and his father loved each other very dearly, very deeply. But yes, they did clash. Rob admitted he wanted his independence. He did not want to walk in his father's shadows, though. He didn't want to be that step behind. He feared that people would only see him as Carl's son. That's a hell of a place to be, in my opinion. He wanted to stand on his own. He wanted to stand for himself. He wanted to make it on his own merits. And that's the way that it should be. It's okay to have a little help sometimes, but you got to stand on your own. So when he argued with his dad, he did argue with him, but it was with respect and with love. And it was mostly, he just didn't want to be in his shadows. His dad became one of the best ever supporters that Rob had. He was one of Rob's biggest fans, especially when he went into directing. Look, Rob, he grew up surrounded by intelligence. There's no doubt about that. He was passed on a legacy. There's no doubt about that either. His life was fueled also by debate, but his life was shaped by that. And he had morals that made him who he was. He used storytelling for injustice. He had zero fear of being disliked. He could care less about that. Not if he believed he was right. I can understand that. Now, Rob talked loudly. A lot of people want to know why he talked loud. A lot of people didn't know. Some people just talk loud. I talk loud. But Rob talked loud because of how he was brought up, how he was formed in a house, that he grown up in. And if in their household, if they were silent, what that meant was they were not participating. They had to sit down and have dinner conversations. And those dinner conversations sometimes was fast. Sometimes they was competitive. An idea, I don't know. It was driven. People at that table, though, they talked. They talked over each other, but not to be rude. They didn't do that to be rude, but to be heard, I guess. They wanted to be heard. They all had very strong opinions in that household. Rob comes from 5 kids. No, Rob has 5 kids. I bet he did the same at his home. I don't know. But I bet it carried over. What do you want to bet? So Rob learned that early. He learned if you don't project, you just kind of disappear. So to him, talking loud was not aggression, it was survival. Okay? And a lot of people don't get that. It was survival. It was just a thing. You know, when you feel smaller, you kind of amplify, you kind of get bigger. Hell, I know about that, don't y'all? If you think you're not being heard, you just get louder. I ain't saying it always helps, because it don't. But somehow he believed quiet equals failure. And I think that's the biggest reason he was loud, in my opinion. To him, loud means seriousness and calm means complacent. And he was anything but complacent. Sometimes being loud could rub people the wrong way. I understand that myself. But just think about it. Some people think that's being arrogant. This man was anything but arrogant, in my opinion, and from what I've heard and the research I've done. But that's what some people think. If you're loud, you're arrogant. Sometimes your volume can, shut down. Sometimes you need to turn it down. But instead of opening it up, and people thinking that, I get that. I do. The bottom line was Rob talked loud, and he feared silence more than he feared, the discussion and the backlash, because he didn't fear that at all. And no matter if you agreed with him or you did not agree with him, that didn't matter, at least not to him. He spoke the way he heard. He spoke the way that he learned. He spoke the way that kept him alive. So let's talk about the reason that Rob let's talk about him being the real human guy, the side of his human part, right? Because he was a real softy, honestly. He was a real softy. He was married 2 times. I learned something new that I bet y'all didn't know. How many people in here knew he was married to Penny Marshall? Penny Marshall was the actress that played on Laverne and Shirley. Because, yes, they were married. They were married at one time from 1971 to 1981. Did you know that? Because I didn't. And I thought, At first I thought, wow, that kind of, even back then, made an odd couple. But thinking about it, it's workable. You had no idea. Yeah, I learned that today. Tina sure did. Yeah. What do y'all think about that? I couldn't see it at first. I'm thinking now, yeah, I guess it could work. No, they don't have a child together. The only children he has, from what I'm doing my research today, he has 5 children, and they're all with Michelle. If I'm wrong, I'll correct it, but show me the proof, because I understand him and Penny never had any children. Now, I don't know if Penny later on went on to have children or not, but from what I'm understanding and what I'm gathering, Rob and Penny never had any children together. That's not to say, because I think she did have one after he adopted Penny's daughter later. Thank you, Lisa. Okay. Oh, and yeah, because she passed away too also. But anyway, that I learned that. And they departed. They didn't divorce because of any bad blood or anything exciting that, no affairs, none of that stuff. Rob and her, they departed on good terms. They were both go-getters. They were both hustlers. They were workaholics, both of them. And from what I understand, there just wasn't time for each other. Work always came first. And then they just kind of grew apart. Sometimes that happens. People just kind of grow apart. But even after the divorce, they stayed friends. And he didn't go out and marry Michelle right away, his wife, his now wife, that's also been unalived. It was several years, in fact. Rob met Michelle. Michelle used to be a singer, but more so, she was a photographer and an author. And he married her. He fell deeply in love with Michelle and vice versa. And that marriage actually grounded him. It was a good thing, I guess, him and Michelle got married. They had a beautiful life together. But they had a lot more in common. And, they both led a very private life. They built a stable home together, and they had a good home life. From my understanding so far, and y'all know why I'm saying that, so far, of course, we never know what goes on behind closed doors, but they had a good life. And they were good to their children, all of them. And they protected them. They both would walk on water for them. And him and Michelle both try to protect them from the Hollywood nightmare, per se. But it gave him this real emotional balance when he met Michelle. It was safe. Sometimes you just got to be safe. He loved her and she loved him. And that was the bottom line. Now, they had, again, 5 children. For the most part, most of those children stayed out of the spotlight. He really guarded his family, and they meant everything to him from what I can find and what I can understand. Fatherhood changed him. Fatherhood and motherhood, if you're a real true blue, and it comes natural. It don't come with books, but it's in your blood. And I don't care how old you are, who you are, or what color you are, or what you believe in. You're either a good parent or you're not a good parent. That's all there is to it. It don't need to come with instructions. You learn as you go. You make mistakes. You keep going. And you get better and better and better at it. But fatherhood changed him, more so for the better. Rob then saw responsibility. He was very protective. Sometimes he even said himself he was overprotective or too protective. Now, y'all, sometimes that can be a thing. I'm just saying. But he was described as a great father, a family man. He was very sensitive. A lot of people don't know that about him. He was very sensitive. And he was the type to get his feelings hurt easy. I think I could see that in him. It didn't make him weak. I wish more men would show that. I do. So he would get his feelings hurt easy. And he was easily, when he was criticized, that really hurt his feelings. He was easily upset by that. Not so much upset as just his feelings hurt. They say he was very, very loyal to everybody that he trusted. Okay. If he trusted you, you had a loyal, diehard friend forever. Rob was raised, he was raised in a Jewish cultural, and that's where he was not so strict on religion and going to church, but he centered in on worldviews and justice, and it made him think more about responsibility and speaking up for those who couldn't speak for themselves and things like that. That's kind of how that shaped him. And he valued everything. He didn't take anything for granted. He valued everything. And, you know, there were haters, of course, but he just dealt with it. He dealt with it. Now, off camera, when all the lights were off, when all the bright Hollywood stars was out of his face, and he was not public speaking, they say he was very quiet. He led a quiet life. They say his pastime was he loved to read. He loved to read history. He loved history. He watched the old family movies, the family films, and he had a deep emotional attachment to all that. He lived by value and routine. And he was never a party guy. He was never a Hollywood party guy. I admire that about him, if you ask me. A lot of people can't handle Hollywood. A lot of people don't put their families first. He did. So he was not a Hollywood party figure, but he had a lot of friends. Well, you know how those so-called friends are. I'm just saying. But he didn't have that Hollywood image, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And that was a good thing, in my opinion. He always tried to stay grounded. He never forgot where he came from. That's the way I always want to be. I never want to forget where I come from. Never. I'm not a follower. I will never follow you. I will never be told what to do. I have a heart. I believe in what I believe in. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Yes, I'm human. Yes, I get my feelings hurt. But I try to stand up for what's right, and I try to do what's right. Have I always? No. But you learn to do better. You learn to stay grounded. And one thing he and I definitely have in common, we never forgot where we came from. In reality, Rob was a legacy himself. He is going to be a legacy. He was a legacy child who never stopped proving himself, actually. He was a father, and he didn't fear being a father or any of that. He didn't fear any of that. He feared, this is what he feared that he said, and this is his quote. He feared the world his own children would inherit. Wow. Kind of ironic today, isn't it? We hadn't even got there yet, but kind of ironic, isn't it? He was a son. He learned that silence can lose lives. What do I tell y'all all the time? So I understand this man. I'm sorry. Like him, love him, hate him. I understand this man. I tell y'all that all the time. Silence can cost lives, and silence never saved anybody. That's the way he thought. You didn't ever have to agree with him to understand him. And he could care less. He could care less. Now, I want to tell you, he did have some regrets. And I want to tell you what some of those regrets were. Rob said he had a few regrets. He said his real regrets are the ones that he acknowledged was, like letting intensity overrun his listening. So, yeah, he regretted that. He admitted sometimes that his passion, oh God, and to understand that, he said his passion has cost him relationships, right? Professionally and personally. I can understand that. But he didn't care. He had a passionate heart. He was full of passion. He equals backing down with backing away. So he never did that. That was his truth. People stopped hearing his message sometimes, though, when he was so loud. And he said he regretted that. His conversations turned into confrontations, right? And bridges burned down. Sometimes that's just life. He said he cared deeply, sometimes too deep. And he said, I regret that. I too understand that. But he said that was a personal regret. That was personal for him. He regrets early in his career allowing his work to dominate, him and who he was. He regrets allowing the public, kind of letting the public life leak over into the personal life, right? Hold on one more second. They're leaving. Hold on. Okay. He regrets all that. He said he regretted in his first marriage, and that would have been with Penny, right? Putting work first. He wished he would have never put his work first. Now, I think that goes for a lot of people. A lot of people around the whole wide world, they wish and regret that they would not have put their work first ahead of their family. And I think he learned that lesson when he married Michelle, and they made their marriage work together like that, because he said he grew up believing strongly work equals worth. So see, that's how he grew up. And that's what his belief was. And that belief is inherited. It's not really chosen. It's inherited. He regretted that Meathead, the name, followed him way, way too long. Because it followed him everywhere he went. he said it kind of boxed him in, and it it kind of, when it boxed him in, it was very loud. But he did not realize how deeply that role would actually brand him. He didn't. Hey, Tina. He had a regret of not softening up sooner, because he did eventually soften up, like I said, when he got with Michelle. And he said, this is the quietest regret, but it is the deepest one. Wow. That gave me chills. Yes, he did. He wrote it. We went over that in the first. He did, and he called him that as an insult. And it stuck with him. Hey, Susie. Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. But he sure did. He sure did. But, and we went over too, but Carol really admired him and trusted him. And so we talked about that. But yeah, there was a lot of love and trust there on and off screen between him and Carol. And that helped even Carol get through a really emotional episode, because of how much he could literally trust Rob in real life. But Rob said wish he had learned earlier to express urgency without alienating people. And he underestimated how much that it truly affected people. That's what he said. He said grief changed him. He had the grief with his father's passing. His father passed away in 2020. So he went through that grief because he was really close to his father. Rob felt very alone at that time. He lost the one person that challenged him safely, and one voice that he trusted without being defensive, right? So the one man who knew him before the world judges him was gone. He said grief stripped away his patience. Wow. After his dad died, Rob spoke faster, he spoke louder, and he spoke with less tolerance. And, a little bit discouragement after his father died. That's what grief did to him. Grief sharpened his fear. It sharpened his fear of loss. It was just personal, but it went over into social, right? He started to speak and he started to talk as if everything, was at stake. As if everything was at stake. As if every silence was dangerous. Every delay to him mattered. And that's a regret that he had, he said. He said it himself. And also, we went over how he was a great storyteller. Earlier, he told stories that he trusted, stories that he trusted and that he thought about, and he brought that into what do you call that? No, when he would tell his stories, he would brought that into like his legacy. That's what I'm trying to think of. But later, though, when he lost his father, right? When he lost his father, that kind of changed a little bit. So he felt personally accountable for some things. and he was just feeling sad and all that stuff. That's just psychological. It's a psychological shift, and it's common in people who have lost somebody very close to them. It's common when someone starts to challenge you and your life in a debate, and they're just gone. That was the one person he really could depend on, his dad. And it felt like to him at that time, again, he was feeling dismissed. So his response got sharper, and it sharpened. Most people, they just think that they just think that Rob did become louder because he got older. That's simply not true. It was just the one person who always listened to him, and everything was gone. His fears were at that time running rampant, right? So, see, urgency once saved him. So he tried to continue that on his own, and that was hard. His grief didn't harden him, but it kind of unfiltered him. And whether people agree with him or not, again, he didn't care. He didn't care. What they heard in those days was a man speaking with grief, honestly. And Rob, they will hear you. They will continue to hear you. So let's talk Robin Michelle. Robin Michelle Singer, that was her name, got married November 3rd, 1989. So there was some years difference there between him getting a divorce between Penny. So I don't want to hear none of that bull hockey stuff. So they got married in 1989. Very beautiful. You can see her on my screen. And they kept it very private. They kept their wedding private. They kept their marriage private. They try to keep their life private. Remember, he divorced Penny in 1981. So this was no way, shape, and form had anything to do with Michelle. Okay, he fell in love with Michelle. He met Michelle, and they got married together several years later. And again, Michelle was a photographer, a singer, an author, and she herself was very private. She wanted to stay out of Hollywood life. She even compared to Rob, she was just very private, more so, I think. And they both on purpose started out in the Hollywood spotlight. It couldn't be helped sometimes, but they were very stable. They were unlike any other Hollywood couple there. When they got married, Rob had no chaos. He had less chaos, and he was more emotional, and he showed it, and he had that emotion, and he was a great man to his family, and it showed. They had 5 children together within that marriage of him and Michelle. And he never had children with anyone else. Now, Lisa said they adopted, Lisa and Janice said they adopted, or he adopted Penny Marshall's daughter. So that happened. But their children was Jake, born in 91. He was an actor and a producer. He worked on film. He worked on TV. Jessica was born in 93. She lives a very quiet, private life. She don't go in the public very much. Sophie was born in 1996, also very private. They were very private people. Then you got Charlie born in 2000, and he mostly kept out of the spotlight altogether. Then you have Nick. There's Nick. I'm just going to keep it to facts right now. So there's Nick, born in 2004. Okay. Again, for the most part, Nick tried to stay private, but Nick had a lot of problems. Nick, and it was said publicly by Rob and Nick, there were problems there. Now, having all these kids gave Rob a sense of being a better husband, a better person, a better father, and it reframed his sense of responsibility, right? His children were his life. His children, he loved them and cared for them like no other. His public life was public, and his public work was public, and his private life was private. And he said with the children, the only thing that he ever regretted with his children was nothing except any time that he ever missed time with them. That's what he said he regretted. Yep. Yeah, they had 5. So Michelle was very protective of her kids as well. She was not impressed at all with fame or with Hollywood. She had strong boundaries. She set those boundaries. She was a boundary setter. I mean, look, this family is not chaos. They were not chaotic. They didn't have the chaos in their daily lives. They did not have a chaotic life, period. You know? So what happened? Rob, you know what happened? Rob made conscious choices. He did everything right. He did not want to be an absent father. He did not want to be a Hollywood father. You know, he shocked all those around him and his work because he protected his family. He protected his children. He just wanted to be a good family man. And I think he made the right choice. He was physically there, not just money-wise, not just things. He was there. He was supportive. He was there for his family. He put his family first. But again, he was protective. Now, he never pushed his children. There was no child actor pressure. You're going to be an actor. You're going to be a singer. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. No, he did not push his children. He did not. He never used, like many of these people do, his kids as props. I think that says a lot too. I think that speaks volumes. It does to me. He was a father that talked things out, and he explained why things happen and why things matter. Remember what kind of kid I told you he was? He wanted to know everything. The why, what, when, who, what, all those things. He wanted to know. Now, Michelle, she was misunderstood. Some misunderstood her private life as, she was just misunderstood. But she was not misunderstood. She just didn't want the fame. Michelle was the anchor of the family. She drew hard lines. She tried to protect her kids. She tried to protect her husband. She tried to protect herself. She tried to protect everything they worked for. around her children and private. She totally kept all of that life separate, her home life and their life and her life outside of home separate. She didn't want fame to dictate any of her family's lives. But she was not passive. You know, she just wanted her privacy. She just wanted to be protective and proactive. That's all. She understood the public exposure and what it would do, especially in Hollywood. The scrutiny, she understood all that. She chose less access to that. She didn't want it. And I don't blame her. I don't blame her. Together, Michelle and Rob, they created something very, very rare in Hollywood. Very rare in Hollywood. Let's watch a few of these clips. Hold on. I got to get this. I'm not going to move that. All right, hold on. That's their son, Nick. Okay, y'all can see. I wasn't sure if you could see down here in the bottom. So down here in the bottom, they're showing the pictures, the photographs of this. This is Pete.
At Root Insurance,
So that was some pictures, and that was credit to people. I'm going to share some more. Hold on. Okay. Jane Fonda spoke on Rob, and she said Rob and Michelle Renner was wonderful, caring, smart, funny, generous people, always coming up with ideas how to make the world a better place and kinder. They had been helping me launch the committees for the First Amendment. I saw them right before I saw them right before, and they were last looking healthy and happy. I am reeling with grief, stunned. And, you know, there was a thing that Michelle and Barack Obama also was supposed to see them that Sunday night. So let me go on here. Hold on.
I love these. She complements my skin so well. Comfortable, confident, and resistant because they are not stuck to my.
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as
I don't think that was too nice of him to say. I really don't. But that's what all the fuss is about today.
Kickstart your medical herb education.
All right, John, new details out after famed Hollywood director and actor Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were found dead in their home. LA police have arrested one of the couple's sons in connection with the killings. Our chief correspondent Jonathan Hunt is live out of Brentwood for us. He's got more on all of this. Jonathan, what more can you tell us?
Well, Sandra, within hours of the bodies of Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle being discovered here at their Brentwood home, we were getting word of the potential involvement of their 32-year-old son, Nick Reiner. And this morning, we got confirmation that he has indeed been arrested in the early hours of this morning, we believe, and is being held on $4 million bond. You can see Nick Reiner in this family photo that was just taken a few months ago in September. He is the young man with the shaved head in that picture. Now, the LAPD said very little yesterday as they began their investigation, but the police chief confirmed this morning that Nick Reiner had indeed been arrested. Listen here.
We have our robbery homicide division handling the investigation. They worked throughout the night on this case and were able to take into custody Nick Reiner, a suspect in this case. He was subsequently booked for murder and is being held on $4 million bail.
Now, police were initially called out to this Brentwood home at around 3:40 yesterday. As we understand it, one of the couple's daughters discovered their parents here, and it was a pretty grisly scene as we understand it. Both apparently stabbed to death. Now, Rob Reiner, of course, was a beloved figure in Hollywood, famed for a whole string of hit movies, including Sleepless, including When Harry Met Sally, The Princess Bride, and, of course, A Few Good Men. He's been paid tribute to by a slew of political and Hollywood figures, thanks to his activism as well. Maria Shriver, the journalist and former First Lady of California, saying, quote, "I'm devastated, gutted, shocked, stunned, and so deeply saddened, as are all of the people who loved them and who they loved. I hope people remember them as two deeply talented, kind, fun, loving, good, patriotic people who loved each other deeply." And Sandra, our corporate cousins at TMZ are reporting that Rob and Michelle Reiner, along with their son Nick, attended a holiday party at the home of Conan O'Brien on Saturday night, and that the three of them were heard arguing very loudly. Now, if that plays in any way to the tragic events that unfolded here on Sunday afternoon, we do not know at this point. We hope that we will hear more from the Los Angeles Police Department later today. Sandra?
Wow. Jonathan Hunt with the very latest on all of that for us.
So that's very sad. Now they have arrested his son. And I don't know, yeah, his wife was beautiful. And I don't know, what's what with his son. Evidently, they had to have good reason to arrest him. I don't know what transpired. I don't know what happened at the party about the arguing and stuff like that. I just know that it's very sad. Why, and what could have happened. Now they have their son, Nick, who also has struggled with drugs. That is public record. That's nothing I'm putting out there, not rumor, not shame, not anything. But that is something that he did struggle with. But the thing is, he would shout out about his recovery to anyone that would listen. And now they're holding him on the suspicion of this murder on a $4 million bail. And police announced that. The reason has not been said, or a motive has not been said. Nick is 32 years old, and he has been in and out of rehab centers, like I said, for a long time. A lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people in Hollywood struggle with that, but he struggled sometimes with homelessness, they say. Maybe that was mom and dad's tough love. I don't know. But family and friends were in shock. They were told, the news reporters, family and friends told the news reporters that Nick had got into an argument with his family on Saturday night at that party at Conan's house. And, I don't know the details, and a lot of those details are not out. They're still coming out. This is a tragedy that happened, and this happened in the couple's Brentwood home. It happened on Sunday, and one of the daughters was said to have found the couple. That must have been horrible. It was about 3:40 p.m. at that time, and then the detectives from the robbery and homicide division were there. Workers were there through the night, and people are saying Nick, was just troubled. He was addicted, and he was out of rehab. He just got out of rehab. Now Rob, and his, this incident, his wife, this horrible tragedy, it was it was about 15 miles, I think, 15 miles from where they arrested Nick at. At one point, not here when this happened, but Rob was doing one time this interview, and he was 20 minutes into the interview on his podcast when he was promoting his new film, and he was talking about a famous dad, and he was talking about his drug addicted son. And when Nick helped him write this. Okay, this was about him and Nick, I'm assuming, for the most part. And when the interviewer asked him if his son Nick, who co-wrote it, had learned anything from it, then Rob pointed off the screen, pointed over to Nick, who was at that time 22 years old, and he said, you know, you could ask him yourself. He was there with him the whole time. I don't know what that answer was. I don't know what Nick said. I'm sorry, but I don't. But, you know, all in all, what I'm saying is they seemed very close. They seemed like they had a close bond. What went wrong? If, and again, the police have arrested Nick, but nobody's guilty. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But this is not looking good. And it's looking more and more like that Nick could have possibly done this. So why? You know, why? You know, I don't know. I don't know. There was reports, like I said, on Jimmy Kimmel Live on Monday that Jimmy had spoke with Michelle Obama, and her and Barack Obama was going to meet with Rob Sunday night. Well, that didn't happen. They say he fought for California for the kids, and he was very passionate about the kids. He was very passionate about his fight for that. Now, Nick struggled with his addiction, but he shared again his reality, that he was clean with the world. I guess he wasn't. Now he's accused of, you know, killing his parents, which is very sad. It's tore his family apart. It's torn them apart. They say they arrested Nick south of LA at USC on Sunday night, and it was about 15 miles away. It was away from the home, the crime, and, you know, they got him about 9:15 p.m. So, like I said, this is very sad, and it's very much ongoing. There's stuff coming out, you know, quickly. But you got two brilliant lives that were taken, and sadly, it may have been his son that did just that, take their two beautiful, brilliant lives. And I don't know how anybody could do that. What could have been the motive? What could have happened? There's no excuse to me. I don't care who they are. You know, what was it? What caused him, if he did this, to turn on his family that loved him and all of his brothers and sisters so much, with so much hate? Now, again, I'm going to say it again. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. But it don't look good. Here, let's watch something else.
Let's get back to that breaking news on the death of legendary director Rob Reiner and his wife.
The New York native and his wife found stabbed to death inside their Los Angeles home. So far, no arrests. ABC News' Trevor Alt, joins us live from Los Angeles with the very latest on the investigation. Good morning to you, Trevor.
I don't know.
Good morning, Charlene.
I don't know,
Leslie.
Leslie.
So we just saw an emergency response truck just show up here in the neighborhood of Brentwood in Los Angeles as this death investigation continues. And while we did get an update yesterday from the LAPD, they released very few specific details on the state of the investigation. What we do know is that both the mayor of Los Angeles and the family of Rob Reiner confirmed that he and his wife, Michelle Singer, have both died. The LAPD said they were called here because of a death investigation, and they say inside the house they found the bodies of a 78-year-old and a 68-year-old as well. The LAPD would not even go as far as to confirm that it was Reiner and Singer inside, but as we've heard from officials in the family, they have now been killed. This investigation, though, still very clearly in its early stages. We have law enforcement that has closed off the block here. They say that this is going to be ongoing. We know they've been working on getting a search warrant to continue that investigation. And in the meantime, the bodies of the couple are still inside the home. We have, of course, had media out here since this news first broke. We know that some close friends of Rob Reiner showed up here on the scene. Billy Crystal, Larry David. Rob Reiner, of course, has been an incredibly impactful filmmaker and incredibly impactful for American culture, directed such iconic films as The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men, This Is Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, a ton of great American films. And now his family and the mayor have confirmed his passing. We are still, though, in those early stages of the investigation, and we're trying to get some more details from the LAPD. But what we did hear from senior law enforcement officials is that the couple appears to have been stabbed to death, guys.
Trevor, I mean, we have been seeing a lot of reports all over. I mean, this family, Reiner, has impacted so many people. So a lot of people are invested, and we are seeing some reports on a possible suspect. What is ABC News reporting right now?
So what we can report officially is that the LAPD has not named an official suspect, and there have been no arrests in this case. Of course, like everyone else, we are seeing those reports. They are not yet up to our editorial standards. We're waiting on the Los Angeles Police Department. What we have so far is the manner of death from senior law enforcement officials, that it looks as if they were stabbed. But the investigation still in its early stages. It was a little unnerving how little details we got from the LAPD yesterday when in the same press conference, the mayor says this is Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer, but the LAPD says they're not confirming the identities. I do expect we're going to get, though, some more information later today, guys.
Launch your credit business. Expert coaching for Credit Pro. We help credit pros launch and scale their businesses.
Thank you, Where the Wind Blows. Enjoy your company, honey. So I think that was all of the, I think that was all of them there. Let me put this up. Hold on a minute. So that's him and, no, that's not, that's the wrong one. Whoop, 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 whoop. Not that one. Where did it go? There it is. So I like that picture. It's up there in the corner, but I like that picture right there. And honestly, he turned out to be a pretty good looking man, I think. By all accounts, he didn't let that Hollywood life ruin him. And it's just very sad. You know, I hope they get this settled, and you know, that family's just torn apart, and right here at the holidays and stuff too. We have a family that is living right now its worst nightmare, and it'll be torn apart forever. in a community that's shook. The whole community is shook. Many family and friends, they're all shook. It's unbelievable. Rob and Michelle, they cared about their family, right? They definitely cared about their family. Let me remove this. They cared about their family a lot. Hey, Joanne, it is extra tragic that their daughter found. Yeah, absolutely. And she'll never get that out of her head. I don't think. That's very sad. It's very tragic. Oh, excuse me. And if the brother did this, which is looking more and more like he did, you know, this family's just torn in all different kinds of pieces. My heart goes out to that daughter, all of the children, all of the family, you know, everybody that ever Rob or Michelle ever touched their lives or came into. My heart goes out to them. It's sad. So I just wanted to talk about that. Let me see if there's any, I'm sure they're updating it at all time. Let me see if there's anything more recent. Hold on. Three hours ago. Pretty much what I've told y'all 3 hours ago, 8 hours, 8 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Okay, here's something CNN 32 minutes ago. Let me see what it says. Prosecutors will give update in Rob and Michelle Rayner's homicide case. All right, this is CNN playing, so credit goes to CNN. Let me just play this little video. I'm not going to put it up. I'll just play it. It's showing the son.
Who is Nick Reiner, the son of famed director Rob Reiner and producer Michelle Singer Reiner? He was arrested by LAPD and believed by investigators to be, quote, responsible for the death of his parents. So how'd we get here? Well, it's no secret that Nick has struggled with addiction, and behind closed doors, his parents, like many others, struggled to help their son navigate it. The tension was even the subject of a 2015 movie that Nick co-wrote called Being Charlie.
You have a disease, Charlie. We all do. All right? And acceptance is the first step towards controlling.
You know, you're right. I do have a disease. It's this place. Okay? It makes you feel like a leper, and then when you get out, everyone's expecting you to up again, so you start using.
During the film's promotion, Nick appeared alongside his father and and discussed his past drug use.
Lisa.
But I think I'm lucky in the sense that I have parents that care about me, and because of that, when I would go out and do, you know, things like drugs and stuff like that, I'd feel a tremendous amount of guilt because I'd think, oh, they're thinking about me right now. They want me to do good. And most people don't have, not most people, but some people don't have parents that are, you know, have any interest in it.
He also talked about his struggles growing up in the Reiner household.
We didn't bond a lot as a kid. Like, he really liked baseball. I like basketball, and he could watch that with my brother.
But that's normal. Everybody don't have the same likes. And Rob and Michelle had 5 children. Okay? So we in this household don't like everything the same. Never. Actually, we hardly ever do. I don't like the TV in the living room turned up. You know, I don't like that, you know, air mess with. I don't like the buttons touched. You know, I want pizza. He don't want pizza. He's too much pizza. My kids growing up, they never like the same things. You're different individuals. Very different.
Baseball, but I just, when I saw him do that, and it was something that I'm interested in, I was like, wow, like he really knows a lot, and like it made me feel closer to him and be like, yeah.
The night before his parents' death, Rob, Michelle, and Nick attended a holiday party comedian Conan O'Brien's house. Nick and his father were seen having an argument, according to a source familiar with the incident. It's unclear what connection, if any, the argument may have had to those killings. Authorities have not elaborated on how the victims died or why investigators suspect that their son was responsible. Nick Reiner is currently being held in custody without bail. CNN is working to determine his legal representation and has reached out to a family spokesperson for more information.
You know, it's going to be interesting to see, you know, we had the Mendez brothers and all that. It's going to be interesting to see if he is charged with this, Nick, and he did do such a thing. Well, of course, we want to know the whys and all that, but it's going to be interesting to see how the family and who in the family sticks by who. Because I could not imagine being in that position and having to choose between brothers and sisters, children, aunts, uncles, just blood in general, grandparents. I don't know. This is going to be kind of a hard one. Yes, Lisa. Lisa said, can you imagine how embarrassing it was for them at that party? Absolutely. And especially for Rob. That's why I went down what type of person he was. What type of person did he grow up to be? What type of person he was in his childhood. And him and Michelle both was very private. Listen, I'm private too. I'm getting more unprivate, but I'm listen, talk about embarrassed. Whether it's your kids or whoever, that's the buttons they know how to push, is when you're out somewhere in public and they know what to say that you would not. It's not that it's bad. It's not that it's nothing wrong. It's just, you know, it's that business that you thought would stay private. It's that you didn't want yelling or this, that, and the other. It's just that simple. You know, it doesn't have to make it wrong or be wrong. But yeah, I can imagine. And then did it carry on to the house? It's seeming like it. Lisa said, I get very embarrassed in public at people's behavior. Yeah, sometimes I get embarrassed, Lisa, for the people. If I'm around them, I get embarrassed for them. I'm just saying. Sometimes their behavior and stuff. So I can only imagine if it was a family member, you know, but they didn't go out in Hollywood much. So here they are at this big party with a lot of celebrities. I'm sure the last thing they wanted was an argument to break out or any loud raising of voices, you know. And again, was it over Nick getting back on drugs? You know, it said he dealt with homelessness sometimes, which I can't imagine, but maybe these were the parents that gave tough love. Or that I don't know, did he live with them? Was he out of money? Did they handle his money for? I don't know. You see, did they find out he was doing something and he couldn't get his way? He couldn't get money. He couldn't get what he wanted, when he wanted, how he wanted. So he just thought he would take it into his hands. I don't know. I don't know what listen, there ain't no amount of money that can make me do that to my loved ones. None. Nothing. So I don't know. I don't know. And then I always say, of course, I'm not there. I'm not in the middle of all this. Thank God. But I always say, you have a choice. So I think like this. I think, okay, let's say he unalived his dad first. Oh, okay. Or let's say he unalived his mom first. Okay. Now, I don't want to sound crazy or anything, but to me, at that point, he had a choice, and he didn't have to unalive the other one, correct? See, you know what you do before you do it. Just like you swallow that pill, just like you take that drink, just like you get behind that wheel. Sure, blackout rage. I get it. I get it. I get it. And things happen. But again, both parents, it's no excuse to me. There's no rhyme or reason. The world, lost some good people right here, in my opinion. Everybody has their own opinion. That's their own opinion. That may change. We don't know what happened behind closed doors. We don't know what the reasoning is going to be. Something may come out awfully that I don't stand for, and I may have a change of tune. But there's no reason for this, in my opinion. None. Hey, Army vet. Hello. Good to see you. So I just think that it's sad. I think that it's sad you would do it to a family member if indeed he is the one. But they got him on the $4 million bond. We'll see. We'll see. But my heart definitely goes out to the daughter who found them and to the family, workers, co-workers, everybody there, the neighbors, everybody. I just say send prayers and loves and good thoughts, and that's all we can do, and we can watch and wait and see what happens next. Because in this world, there's no telling what will happen, right? But I thank you all for being here. I wanted to come on here and talk about this. I know it was a long live, but I like to give a little more insight to their lives, especially if it's somebody we grew up watching on TV or something like that, what they become, how they become, all that kind of stuff. Not just, oh, they're dead, bye. So, yeah, they took away the bond. They did. So now he has no bonds, what I'm hearing. That was, I think, from last night. So, yeah, they made it no bond. There had to be a reason for that. And, from the way it was done with the knives and all that, I mean, he may have had cuts on him as well. That is I always say that's a very personal way to unalive somebody. And it's not an easy task. It don't matter how strong you are or whatever. It's not something easy. So, but just pray for the family in a better world. And hopefully when I come back on here, we'll have something better to talk about. Some better news, something good. But in the meantime, thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all. I love you all very much. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Hit that like button on your way out. Thank you. Bye.